in this segment of the show, I want to talk about a game that I absolutely loved, but not everyone did. And obviously, guys, all video games are subjective. What I think's awesome or what I love, you may think is terrible or not like at all, and vice versa. Things that you might like, I may not think is that interesting or good either. And that's totally fine. And that's what makes video games so incredible, right? So I want to talk about, Gears 5 in particular here. Why did Gears 5 fail long term? Why was it something that failed? And, how can the coalition, Microsoft, us as the community, how can we improve moving forward into the Gears of War collection, Gears 6, and onwards? So let's talk about it. So, guys, obviously there's two major things that are going to dictate whether a game is very successful or not so much, and whether the game has legs or not. And so number one is going to be the sales of the title, and number two is going to be the reception of that game. And we talk about this a lot on the YouTube channel. But that being said, with Gears 5, according to Wikipedia, guys, Gears 5 has received generally favorable reviews according to review aggregator Metacritic. Critics praised the gameplay, campaign, presentation, amount of content, but criticized the story and lack of innovation. Many critics praised the game for being a successful return to form for the series. So, look. Obviously, in my mind, okay, when you hear that, sure, they're talking like overall it was praised for a number of different things, but then it was criticized for some of the story as well as the lack of innovation. And a lot of critics thought it was a really great return for the to the series, or return to form for the series. And I thought that Gears of War 4, in my mind, was great. I thought it was a great return to form in that way. Gears 5 kind of continued that in a way. And obviously, for me at least, I felt that Gears 5 as an overall game, I thought it was really good. Now, Metacritic, you had on PC, it got an 82 out of 100, Xbox One, 84 out of 100, and then the Xbox Series X, it got an 83 out of 100. Now, when it came down to the review scores, you had Game Informer gave it an 8.5 out of 10. You had IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. Now, on the lower end of the spectrum, you had Edge that gave it a 6 out of 10. So overall, when I look at the reviews, guys, the reviews were pretty good. Now, obviously, the reviews are going to be given, at first, when the game first comes out. Obviously, what happens when if you have, legs for the game. That being said, what are you going to do after the launch of the title? How are you going to bring people back to the experience over and over again? One of the things that the Coalition did was he had some big streamers stream the game when it first came out, that being like Ninja. He streamed the game for a little while. I would have loved if he was able to stream it longer. Nick Merck streamed it. Even Dr. Disrespect streamed it. And, it's like that was such a good launch in my mind to have, from a viewership perspective, having guys, streaming it, and all of us, we could have really built on that momentum. But a lot of those streamers didn't really like the game. Dr. Disrespect was pretty critical of it. Nick Merckx was critical. Ninja, I mean, it was kind of, up in the air, but he just kind of moved on to other games after that contract was done with that. But, obviously I feel like we had something to really build off of. The launch for Gears 5 was not that great. And really, it seems like a lot of the Gears of War titles, they don't launch really, perfectly. There's always little issues here and there. But that being said, let's talk about the sales, because that's really money at the end of the day, guys. It's a business. So that's the number one thing. So during its week of release, Gears 5 retail sales in the UK were about 4.5 times less than its predecessor, and placed in second place in the retail UK charts and fifth in Switzerland. The game was the seventh best-selling game in the US during the month of September 2019. The game was played by 3 million people in its first weekend, making it Microsoft's most successful first-party launch since Halo 4 and the biggest launch for Xbox Game Pass. So when you hear that, overall, it sounds pretty good. The couple of things that don't sound good, though, is the sales in the UK were 4.5 times less than its predecessor, that being Gears of War 4, which is unfortunate. And the game was 7th best-selling game in the US during the month of September. I mean, that's just, in my mind, I feel like it should have been, really close to the top of the charts when it's first month coming out. I feel like it really should have been, at least top 3, and it was the 7th best-selling. So that tells you something, that Obviously, it's unfortunate in my mind. Now, sure, part of that could be that it's only an Xbox exclusive. Xbox Game Pass, guys, is awesome, and I think that's going to really help with the Xbox, or with the Gears of War collection with Gear 6 moving forward. I think more and more people getting Xbox Game Pass is awesome. It's the best subscription service in gaming. It's not even close. I consider it the Netflix of gaming. So I think it's going to be a great, it could be another really good launch for the Xbox Game Pass. But that being said, obviously, when we look at those couple of things, I think that the sales were, certainly worse than that of the reception of the title. But overall, when you look at both of those things, I mean, you got IGN giving it a 9 out of 10. You've got, yes, it was the biggest launch for Xbox Game Pass for Microsoft. I feel like we're going to get more sequels, right? This definitely tells you that you're going to get more. But where I think Gears 5 failed, part of it's going to be put on the Coalition. Part of it, I think, needs to be put on the community. Because the Coalition, obviously, they weren't quick enough when it came to updating the game and doing the things that we as the community wanted them to do. However, the Coalition has their own vision for the game, so obviously there's going to be things that they want to do that maybe the community isn't fully on board with and things of that nature. But then the community, the backlash towards the Coalition was so severe, guys, and it's something that we can't do as a community because a game like Call of Duty that's massive, if they hear a lot of backlash, sure, it's going to be one of those things where they're going to listen to what the community is saying, but a lot of times it may go in one ear, out the other, and it's not going to affect Call of Duty that much because it's such a huge game and there's so many different players of it. With Gears of War, when the community comes and does the same thing, the Coalition's going to hear that, and it's going to actually probably demoralize a lot of the guys and girls at the Coalition. That being said, they're going to be demotivated to even do things because it's going to feel like the entire community is coming at them for something or another. I just think there's a way that we can go to the Coalition and say things. There's a way that you can say it, guys. In anything, any aspect of life, I feel like there's a way that you can say it. There's a way that you shouldn't say it. And I think it's really important that we as a community come to the Coalition in a certain, in a certain way and format. And so, that being said, that's where I feel, though, that Gears 5 failed, was down the stretch of time. It felt like they weren't updating the game quick enough. There was so much backlash from the community, and then the numbers started to dwindle because lots of people were starting to leave the Gears scene to go to other games. They were going to Halo. The pro players started leaving. And it just became a mess, guys, as a whole, with things that I feel that could have been controlled from the community as well as the Coalition. So moving forward, I feel that even though Gears 5, to me, I don't believe it failed because I think it did well enough for us to get another, Gears of War collection, Gear 6, Gear 7, all those things. I think that we as a community have got to be better at going to the Coalition and not only speaking our mind, but just the way that we say it has to be, brought down a couple of notches, I feel. And I feel like the Coalition, they got to do their part in updating the game and getting on those things a lot quicker moving forward. And I think that they will be better, guys. We need to be better. They need to be better. Let's grow this thing. Let's blow Gears up, man. Let's make this an absolutely incredible franchise and something that we all appreciate and we all grow with it. Let me know what you guys think, though. Why do you think that Gears 5 failed in the long term? What do you guys think happened? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Gears of War content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.